Hello, my loves. So, we've all heard this expression that you're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions. Just be aware of your emotions, just be aware of your thoughts. They're just passing by, they're just fleeting forms, appearances. But I'm pretty sure you've never really thought about why and how and what that actually truly meant. So, let's go straight into this. So, essentially, thoughts and sensations, because I don't refer to emotions as emotions any longer. I refer to it as sensations that appear, appearances, forms of the intangible in this quote unquote 3D reality. They're just appearances, they're just forms. And the whole reason why it's worked up until now, this whole idea of disidentify from your thoughts, you're not your thoughts, just observe them, you're not the sensations, just observe them and they'll go. It's precisely because it's pointing to the truth. It's pointing to the truth that the thought is not you, but it's not you as the human being. It's not you as the human. It's not something that is coming from the mind. It is an appearance. It's a form of this true form that you are. This true form that you are as awareness, consciousness, source, God. So the whole reason why this idea of the quote-unquote 3D reality worked and functioned for you, it was because it was an illusion and it was moldable. But that included these quote-unquote 3D thoughts and these quote-unquote 3D sensations. If we were to look at the image that I've got in the video here, you will see that you, in your true form, are this white color, this white light, this source, creator, beingness, the I am, the I, the self, the quantum field, the screen, whatever you want to call it, it's the right name. And within this white color, within this light, it takes different forms. It takes forms of a human, it takes forms of a relationship, it takes forms of quote unquote emotions or sensations, the sensation that is labeled as anger. If we look at the right side of the picture, there's thoughts represented by this brain. There's a flight, which is a tangible thing in the 3D reality. But it's all appearances, forms, shapes of you. They are also not separate from you. They're made of this very same thing that you are. And again, there's no separation. Separation is an illusion because as you can see in this image, the separation is only perceived as an illusionary separation if you are quote-unquote role-playing or observing from a human being, from quote-unquote identifying with a human being or being. Who is being the human? Who is being this human? You, your true form. Awareness, consciousness, I am, God, the creator. Whatever word resonates with you is the right name. Please put in the comments what's the word that resonates with you to refer to this awareness, fulfillment, perfection. That is your true nature. That is you and that is everything too. It's pointing to what you are as the everything, as the all. And this everything, this all, includes the tangible and includes the intangible. Because again, there's no separation. It's all appearing within awareness as forms of awareness, the tangible and the intangible. So let's now keep talking about thoughts. And thoughts are just intangible appearances, forms that are appearing within awareness. As a human being, because there's two possibilities, God being, just being, or God role-playing as a human being. From the perspective of God, of being, these thoughts still appear. These sensations also appear within what you are. Not separate from what you are, but just appearances within what you are in this awareness. But they're not personal. They're just appearances, forms, just like something that could appear in the tangible, quote-unquote 3D, quote-unquote physical reality, like a table, like a desk. Just appearances, just forms. And when God is role-playing as a human, when God is role-playing as a character, again, there's a common denominator here, which in both instances there's God. There's this illusionary perception to label these thoughts as good or bad, as thoughts, as doubts, as desires, as labeling. But they're just forms, neutral thoughts, neutral appearances, neutral forms. And the same occurs with emotions, with sensations better. Sensations are then labeled as emotions, good or bad. And as a matter of fact, I can quickly prove this to you. Not that this is the truth, doesn't need proving, it just is. But the sensation of anxiety is the exact same sensation of excitement, which points directly and breaks through the illusion that there is a good or bad. It's just the God role-playing as a human character that would label that sensation as something other than just a sensation, just a form, just an appearance, all right? And also, this is very, very clearly, it's not pointing to sensations being good or bad or thoughts being good or bad. It's essentially cutting through all the noise and going directly to the source, because that's what we do here. We go straight to source, which is you. We point directly to the source of everything. We point directly to the oneness that you are, to you as the only power, as the only one here, as the only awareness, as the everything and all, and the God that is, it is everything and in which everything is appearing. But the thing that you've probably never heard, and that this absolutely changes everything, is that quote-unquote 3D reality is a reflection, is a mirror, right? And we've heard this from Neville Goddard, and it's always, and this reality is reflecting who you are being. But that's really, really accurate. If you know who you are, which is awareness, which is being, which is God. So yes, reality is God's mirror, is your mirror because you are God. Reality is reflecting who you're being, either being or human being. If you are as God role-playing as a human being, yes, reality will reflect that very much human being that you think you are, perceiving a seeming separation. And notice the word seeming separation, an illusionary separation, a fictitious separation, a fictitious judgment, a fictitious label, because there's only now. And the label would only come from human being, from role-playing a character, from God role-playing as a character, you role-playing as a character. And the reason why we call it a character is because there's no separation. The human and God are not separate. The character is just a character, just like an actor would play a character, role-playing that character. But let's go straight to what you've probably never heard is that since this reality is reflecting who you're being, and it's an immersive mirror, it's God's immersive mirror, which is not contained in space or time, that it's completely immersive. It's a 30-dimensional mirror for God to observe itself, reality itself, to reality observe its own reality, for life to observe its own life. Then when God is role-playing as a human, those thoughts of this 3D reality, which includes the tangible and the intangible, will appear as quote-unquote human thoughts, thoughts from the character, will reflect back thoughts of the character, will reflect back sensations from the character, which again will be then labeled as emotions. And this again, there is a common denominator here, right? Which is the thoughts and the sensations, they're still very much neutral and they're still very much appearances of God, but it is when God is role-playing as a human, role-playing as a human being, using this character, yes, this immersive 3D mirror, this immersive reflection will reflect back thoughts that will, quote-unquote, appear human thoughts. They will seeming appear like human sensations, which I'm using quotes here because truthfully, there's not a character here. There's not a human. So even in that instance, there's still God's thoughts. There's still sensations. It is only this fictitious, illusionary character, human being, that would then label these thoughts, that will then label these sensations as positive or bad, as good or bad, as fear, as anxiety, as sadness. But when God rests as God, which it always is, by the way, because again, let's point again to the common denominator. When God recognizes its own being and uses this human character, or the human body more precisely, and just as the viewpoint, as God's lookout, as to observe its own reflection in this own mirror, to use it as its own perspective, as a lookout, in that place, the thoughts still appear, the sensations still appear, but it's reflecting back to you the perfection and fullness and beingness that you are as reality itself, the wholeness that you are, the perfection that you are. So from that place, the thoughts appear just like the desks appear and the clouds appear and the humans appear, but they're not happening to you. They're appearing inside of what you are as extensions of you. They're not personal because they're not happening to you. Again, they're just appearances, forms of you, no different than the fingers in your hand. Extensions of you that you essentially move at your own will, because there's only your will. So there isn't a process here into how do I manage fearful thoughts? How do I manage negative emotions? Well, let's break through all of that illusion. There isn't a negative thought here. There isn't such thing as a negative emotion. There's just neutral thoughts and neutral sensations appearing within what you are as awareness. It is only this fictitious character, and emphasis in fictitious, emphasis in non-existing character, emphasis in it is just a role, emphasis in it doesn't exist, that labels and that would then see those thoughts appear and think that they've created those thoughts and then become responsible of those thoughts and then try to fix those thoughts or try to fix those sensations that are appearing. But again, there's nothing to fix and there's nothing that has been created by them in itself. The character cannot create. The character has no creative power in this reflection. They're just a reflection. The reflection cannot wield power or do anything other than what the thing being reflected, aka reality itself, life itself, source itself, reflects. All right? So there's nothing to stress about here. We just see the thoughts, we just see the sensations, but not from the meditative standpoint of like meditate and be aware of the thoughts and do not identify with the thoughts and let them pass by and let the emotions pass by. No, like let's cut the chase here. There's not emotions here. There's just sensations appearing within what you are. This is not something that the human being needs to even fix. It's not even the human being's problem. The human being doesn't exist. The character doesn't exist. Being God, being the being that you are, that you always are, for the record, you are the knowing itself, is observing and sees, and these are just appearances, thoughts and sensations, and they still appear sometimes, sure, but they're not happening to you, and they're not, when you're resting in awareness, in fulfillment, and things appear in their own fullness and neutrality, and when you're resting in that fullness and neutrality that you are, in that perfection that you already are, in that wholeness that you already are, the thoughts that are reflected in that fullness and perfection that you are, the reality reflects back the fullness and perfection that you already are. The sensations reflect that fullness and perfection that you already are. Again, not the human body, not the human, not the character that you've been role-playing as. No, that's also part of the reflection. Humans are part of this reflection. You're not the human. Your reality itself, which includes the human as an extension of you, as a form and appearance of you, includes all the humans, as a matter of fact. It includes all the thoughts. It includes all the sensations. It includes the tangible buildings and quote-unquote untangible, because truthfully, the only thing real and truly, truly quote-unquote tangible in its formlessness is this awareness that you are, is this God that you are, is this consciousness that you are. Again, if you need a visual representation of this image encompasses all the thoughts, the seeming anger from this sensation, which is only labeled as an anger from the perspective of a human being. But you're the fullness, you're the perfection. All right, so this removes all of those hours of meditation and of observing, because there's nothing here to rewire a brain. There's not a nervous system to regulate. There's nothing for you to do, because you transcend all of that. You are the awareness that is aware of all of this. So there's nothing to fix. There's nothing to heal. As a matter of fact, there's nothing really to even need to observe if you have to. It's just forms and appearances that are fleeting by in this now moment. Because the other thing that it's important to say, and we don't really dwell onto this too much, but time is not linear, right? Time is vertical in the sense that it's now. And it's all appearing now. And in that now moment, it's all that ever is, right? So there's nothing really to worry too much about, because whatever moment went past before, quote unquote before, was still very much now, and it didn't happen. We're still here now. So do not worry too much, there's actually nothing to worry. And your true form, and I'm not worried, to be honest, because your true form is the knowing, is the awareness, is God, is us, not us, but this one source, this one awareness, this one consciousness, just experiencing itself, God experiencing itself from all of these different points of view, all of these different lookouts. And that's all good and done. Love you so much. Hope this helped. Mwah.